It's so revolutionary.
Revolutionary! Welcome to my new series called Keep It or Return It. Galaxy Z Fold 3 Discuss. Hey there, friends on YouTube. My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech. Actually, honest, if this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I hope you'll do the same thing again and again and again and again. And you, the new people, I'm talking to you. Will you please hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell notification? I already recorded like a whole other video. Honestly, like almost over an hour, like almost an hour and a half worth of footage of me talking about this phone and all the details and all the stuff that you can do with it and all the stuff I still don't know how to do with it and all those kinds of things. I decided that there are a lot of videos out there that can tell you what you can do with this. I'm going to tell you whether or not you should care and go ahead and get this thing. I recommend my friend Michael Fisher's video, Mr. Mobile. He actually convinced me to think about this phone a little bit more than I probably would have otherwise. So go check out his video. I'll link it down in the description below. You come here for the painful honesty that is what comes out of my mouth. So that's what I'm going to give to you. I'm going to go over some pluses, some minuses regarding this Z Fold 3, the biggest pleasures, the toughest pain points. First, a disclaimer. Samsung does not send me products. They don't send me anything, neither does Apple. In fact, when it comes to smartphones, I really don't get very many devices at all. Why? I'm not sure, but, you know, I'm so beautiful. Be that as it may, I just don't get a lot of stuff sent to me. So when I get these devices, I buy them with my own cash money or credit, as the case may be, but I still buy them. As such, I feel like I got a little bit more skin in the game when it comes time to review the phone. One of the most frequent comments in my comment section or on social media when I talk about a device is, oh, when are you going to return it? I do return a lot of stuff. Yes, it's true. Best Buy did once ban me from returning things, but you know what? They have a policy. I am a consumer. I utilize that policy, maybe to an extreme, but still. It's my right as a consumer, right? Before we get started, we should talk about the Fold series in general, some of the feelings that I've had about the Folds that have come before the Fold 3, the Fold 1, the Fold 2, the Flip 2, all the flips, and then now this. When the first Fold came out, I was not a fan. It seemed like a device that Samsung was trying to force out the door just to prove that they could do it, and it didn't seem like it was a consumer-friendly device. The Fold 2 was a little bit better. I got the Fold 2, actually, and liked it so much that I didn't even make a video about it, which is to say I didn't really like it at all. The Fold 1 and Fold 2, in my opinion, were both compromised phones that didn't meet the standards of other flagship phones. And when they cost almost twice as much as other flagship phones, that's not enough. And it felt like there was a lot of effort toward giving them a pass because they did that. And yes, folding is cool, but not enough for me to spend $2,000 on a mediocre phone that doesn't really do all the things that cheaper phones do. The fact that I'm doing a Fold 3 video at all, in fact, this is the second video that I've done about the Fold 3, should tell you something, but it's not quite that simple. Let's go through some of the good things about my experience with the Fold 3 first, and then we'll get to some of the negatives. First off, the build quality of the Fold 3 is finally up to par with other flagship phones. Yeah, I used the Galaxy S21 Ultra earlier this year. That was one of the best made phones that I've ever used. And maybe the Fold 3 isn't quite up to that standard, but it does meet a certain benchmark that is necessary for me to believe that as a flagship phone, it deserves to have perhaps my money spent on it. It's a very solid feeling phone. The folding is nice and positive, as they say. I've had this for almost 3 weeks at this point, and it doesn't really, it hasn't loosened up. It's not kind of janky. My Fold 2 started to get janky just after a couple of days. This guy has not had that happen yet. I feel like that is a plus just straight out of the box. Number 2, the interior screen of the Fold 3 is much nicer than it was in the past. In the past, with the Fold 2, the screen felt kind of rubbery and weird. In fact, if you ever used one of those sort of like airplane helicopter blade protection screen protectors from way back in the day, that screen kind of felt like that. And those screen protectors were always kind of weirdly lumpy. And this one is just nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. It feels really, really nice. Last year, didn't feel like glass, and it was not a great experience, but this year, this screen feels great. The screen overall is a much better experience. The S Pen is something that I felt was necessary to take this device to the level where it needed to be, to the level where it is both a smartphone on the front and a tablet inside, and without the S Pen, that just wasn't going to happen, especially now that it looks like the Fold is going to take over for the Note series as Samsung's sort of showcase phone. A lot of folks have complained about the S Pen as like just not necessarily as good as it needed to be or something like that, but I disagree. The S Pen so far for me has been a great experience. They're complaining that there's no place to stick it inside the phone, which you could do with the Note, but hey, this one is like 2-3 times bigger than the other S Pen from the Note, and as such, much nicer than that S Pen in terms of holding. I got big hands, and so this feels much nicer when I use it. They have now this Fold Edition S Pen. They also have a Pro Edition S Pen that can be used with this. This one comes with this case that's $80. This case is an absolute piece of garbage that nobody should spend $80 on. I spent the money because I had money when I ordered. You know, Samsung gives you free money when you order something. So yeah, I spent part of my $200 of credit to get this, and it was not worth it, although it did give me the S Pen. This thing, when you put it on, it holds on to and this part is just flappy. And so it's trash. I ended up finding and getting this Whitestone case, which is really pretty nice. I'll leave a link to this down in the description below. It was cheap on Amazon, and it's got a nice sort of soft touch to it, so you can check that out. I was afraid that it would not be all that great an experience to write with it, but I found that I can write quite well, and the crease doesn't mess me up. Yes, I can sort of feel it, but actually I can feel it less with the S Pen than I can when I use my finger. So yeah, I can feel it, but it does not affect my writing, which is actually pretty nice. So thank you, Samsung, for making the S Pen work so well with this device. There are a lot of different ways that you can also use the S Pen to take notes. There are a lot of different note applications, and this is actually, for me, better than the Galaxy Note S Pen ever was in terms of real estate. Makes it easier for me to write, and the pen being bigger actually makes it more comfortable to do so. So I'm a big fan of this S Pen, although, you know, other people seem to be discounting it or complaining about it one way or the other. Finally, on the plus side, this is one of the things that Michael Fisher kind of brought my attention to. There's a lot that you can do with this phone. I mean, there's decks, and you can use it with other screens, and you can do a lot of different things. There's multi-window, which I'm still kind of starting to figure out how to do it. There's just so much that this device can do over and above what a regular smartphone can do, and I'm only barely scratching the surface after 3 or so weeks. By contrast, I've had my iPhone 13 Pro Max for a week, and within an hour of setting it up, it was just another iPhone, which is one of the things that's good about an iPhone, but it's also like you get this brand new toy, and once you set it up, then it's just like the thing that you just got rid of. I mean, yes, there's some differences. There's some differences, cinematic mode and other things in the camera. 120 hertz is super nice. I can't even notice. Most of the time I got a dark screen anyway. I don't even notice that the notch is smaller. While the predictability of an iPhone is a good thing, it's not always a fun thing. And after several years of using the iPhone predominantly, there's something that's really attractive about using a phone like the Z Fold 3 and actually committing to digging into it and seeing how all the different features can benefit my experience. So at this point, it sounds like a love fest for the Z Fold 3. Sounds like I'm leaning toward the keep it side. Not so fast, my friends. What are some of the things that hold the Z Fold 3 back? While the interior screen is nice, there is still that crease. You can still feel it when you run your finger across there. I don't know that there's ever going to be a time where they can get rid of this crease, but just because the crease is there kind of impacts the experience of using the phone enough that you do have to mention. I found that when you're looking straight at the phone, when you're consuming content or something like that, it's not really that big a deal. As I said, using the S Pen, I can feel it less than I do when I use my finger. So it's improving, but it's still there, and I think I would be remiss if I didn't mark it down as a con. Number 2, the battery. The battery life on this phone is not bad, but it's also not great. And again, for the amount of money you're spending on this phone, you kind of want it to be great. I understand why it isn't. You would have to have a much thicker device, and it's already very thick when it's folded. But when you compare it to the iPhone 13 lineup or even the iPhone 12 or 11 lineups, the iPhones just run rings around this phone when it comes to battery life. I usually make it through a day with the battery here, but honestly, it's kind of sketchy, and I feel better if I charge like in the evening while I'm, just hanging out or something like that, which is not a perfect thing. When you have a phone like the iPhone 13 Pro, I haven't been using this phone as my only phone for a while, but it's been sitting for a few days now, and it's only at about 50% battery. Which 47% battery after charging it. I think the last time I charged it was Tuesday, and it's Friday now. So the battery life on the iPhone being so good makes the battery life on this phone kind of a drag. Now, it is not as bad as the Z Flip 3, which seemed like it would be drained of battery by midday, and I just couldn't use that phone. This phone is better than that by a pretty decent amount, but still, it's not great. And if you have this phone and you're a power user, you're probably going to be charging it, around 6 or 7 p.m. in the evening just to make sure that you make it through the rest of the day. If that's not a problem for you, great. But for me, battery life is very important, so it gives me pause that right now the battery life isn't great. Who knows what it's going to be like a year from now. The final con for this phone for me is the camera. The camera array on this phone is the same camera that was on the Fold 2. The S21 Ultra was one of the best cameras that I've ever used on an Android phone. So it's kind of a drag that that camera array wasn't brought over to this phone. There are some good things about how you use the camera here. You can use it in what they call flex mode. So here you've got this, and you can take pictures of stuff, and you can use it as a viewfinder. And you can even hit this and turn on the cover screen and take a selfie this way. That's a big benefit. You can use the front-facing camera. There's a lot that I like about the ergonomics and the features of using this camera, but the pictures that I've gotten out of this camera are less than spectacular under some circumstances. I've found that in low light, it doesn't take great pictures. If it has good light, the pictures are pretty good. The selfie camera that's inside here is a 4-megapixel camera that's hidden underneath the screen. So when it pops back out here, but it's not a really good camera. Although you do have this camera and 3 camera lenses, and you have a camera on the front screen here. And this camera takes pretty decent pictures. If these cameras were the cameras that came with the S21 Ultra and had the majority of the features that the S21 Ultra cameras had, then this would be quite possibly the perfect smartphone ever. As it is, it's pretty close to the perfect Android phone. The Android phone that has done all the things that I've always wanted an Android phone to do. I've loved the Note series from day one because of the expanded functionality of it and just like the power that you could get out of it. But I also love the fact that once you open this thing up and it becomes basically a tablet, 7.6 inches across the front here, and I use an iPad or a Kindle to read. I read a lot, and so this is basically the size of my Kindle, and as long as I can keep myself from watching TikTok and read, then this is pretty much the perfect size for me to lay in bed and to read. And that's something that I've not necessarily been able to get out of a phone. So now we come to the moment of truth. The moment of truth. Is this a keep it or is this a return it? I thought when I got this that it was going to be most definitely a return it. I was curious about this phone, but I didn't think that there would be enough about it that would make me want to keep it. But people, friends, compatriots, I have decided that with the addition of the S Pen, with the addition of the better screen and the better build quality, I'm actually going to use this as my SIM card phone. I don't know how long. I got other phones that I'll have to review. I'll have to switch my SIM card in, but there's enough about this phone that is keeping me using it and learning about it that it continues to intrigue me 3 weeks in. There's not been anything that's been a great big deal breaker that says I can't handle this like it did with the Z Flip and the battery. Tell me what you think. Is this a keep or is this a return? Let me know down in the comments below, and thank you so much for being here. Once again, if this is your first time here and you want to come back again and see me, then you can hit the like and subscribe button and bell notify yourself so you know when more Painfully Honest Tech videos. I'm going to be covering more of this phone as time goes on. I want to compare this phone really specifically to the iPhone 13. I want to compare this phone to a bunch of other things, and I want to learn as much about how to use it effectively as I can. So subscribe if you want to see that kind of stuff. And if you're interested in seeing more videos from me that are related to this video, then there's going to be something that pops up over here, I think, on the screen, another video that you can you can click on and it'll go over there. Thanks so much for being here. Once again, my name's Jason. This is Painfully Honest Tech. Tech so honest it hurts. Until the next time, I am out.